I'm Jolene Wynn, and this is the Porn Addict's Wife podcast, episode number 90, How to Change Your Perspective. Your life does not have to revolve around your husband's pornography addiction. You are not defined by his choices or by what he sees on a screen. You are not just the porn addict's wife. You are so much more. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to go from handling it to healed. Because I've been where you are, and you don't have to stay there. My name is Jolene Wynn. I'm a member of the LDS faith, a certified life coach, and a wife of a former porn addict. And this is a podcast for the porn addict's wife. Hello, my ladies. How are you guys doing? Can you believe this is episode 90? How many of y'all have been here the entire time? That would be fascinating. I wish I could actually know that. I'm sure I could probably look it up somehow on my statistics on where I host my podcast, but I don't actually know. This would be so fun. How many of you ladies have been here for 90 episodes? That's amazing. I'm super proud of all of you. I am so glad you guys are all here. If you have made it through this many episodes, bravo. That is a lot of listening to my voice. So congratulations. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that you guys are here. I do want to tell you guys about the February class that I'm doing inside my coaching program. So if you haven't heard already, in February, I am hosting a new class inside my coaching program called Intentional Intimacy. I'm super excited about this. I'm going to dive into emotional and physical intimacy so that you can approach your marriage on purpose. So if you don't feel like you have the emotional connection or the physical sexual connection that you want to with your husband, I would really encourage you guys to come join my coaching program before we do that class in February, because it will be so good to learn more about this. I'm going to teach you how to do it on purpose, the things you can change. I'll be coaching you along the way so that you can really create the relationship and the marriage that you want physically and emotionally. So if you don't feel like you're connected to your husband, I really want to encourage you guys to come join me, because that is what this is all going to be about. So again, that class is going to be, I think, February 17th, but just join now. You can join just by heading to my website, jolenewynn.com, and you will get access to that course when we do it, and it will be recorded so that you can have access to it all the time. So again, just head to my website and you guys can join right away, and that will give you access to our new class in February. So excited about it. Okay. And I also wanted to let you guys know, just to remind you, I know I talked about this last week, but I'm going to tease it again because I'm so excited about it. Ladies, keep in mind, I am doing a Go Forward retreat, but I call it a Go Forward in October. Mark your calendars, save your pennies. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. It's just going to be so fun. Okay. I just get so excited about that. I wasn't even going to share that for like months, but if you guys don't know this already, I'm really not bad at keeping secrets, but I get really excited about good secrets like presents. Like, I'm the worst. If I order a present and it comes a couple days early, I'm like, do you want to open it now? That's me. So that's why I get really excited about this. Okay. So today, ladies, I want to teach you how to change your perspective. I am so excited about this. I think it was last year, almost a year ago, I went to Las Vegas for my grandpa's 90th birthday. And I was flying back and I just took a picture on my cell phone out the airplane window. And I just made a little caption on that. I posted it to my Instagram, which you guys can go follow at Jolene Wynn Coaching. And I posted it on my Instagram and I said something about how it's so fascinating to change your perspective and how important it can be to change your perspective. And and it wasn't even a super long caption, but it was something that just really struck me, right? Is that so often we are so in our own story, in our own life, that sometimes we forget to take a different look at it. And so I had someone comment on or send me a message, and I can't remember which, and she said, how do you change your perspective? And I think I messaged her back or commented back, but it's something that's been on my mind in a note on my phone to come back to and to really dive deeper into it. And so that's what I want to do for you guys today. And one of the things that came to my mind is presets. Do you guys use presets on your phone, or you know somebody that does? Is there like an Instagrammer that you follow that uses a preset? If you guys follow me, I use a preset on my Instagram. Okay, that is what makes all of your pictures look the same, right? It uses the same lighting. It adjusts the lighting so that they all look the same. So that even if you take them at different times of day, or with different people or different lighting or whatever, then it can make it look a little bit more cohesive and a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Does that make sense? Those are the presets. Okay, so just like a preset on your phone, you see every image of your life through the same filter. Okay, the photo you take looks different through your personal preset, but you don't notice that you're using it because all of your photos look the same. Are you guys following me? It's like we each come conditioned just throughout our life with our, it's like we don't come conditioned this way, but over our life, over the course of our life, we create our own preset, the way we view the world, the way we view our life, our actions, the actions of those around us. And it's all because we're seeing it through this filter, this custom preset. And because we see it all through that preset and we've been seeing everything through that preset, we don't even notice that it's there. I think I've compared it to like always having on a pair of glasses. If you always wore glasses and you never took them off, you wouldn't even be aware that you were seeing your world through a lens until you took the glasses off. But you have to become aware of the fact that you're wearing glasses before you know that you can take them off. Like your brain doesn't even know that there's another option. It thinks that the way that you see the world just is the way the world is, and it's not true. So today I want to talk about how you can actually change your perspective if you want to. Okay? You can change your perspective. You can change your preset. You can change your filter, the way you see the world, if you want to. So if you're unhappy with how you're currently viewing the world, if you are curious about changing the way that you want to see things, then this podcast is for you. And one of the ways, let me give you guys an example. One of the ways that I see this the most is with my clients when they say, I don't like seeing my husband as the bad guy. I was actually just talking to a client about this today. And she said, every time he talks about a relapse, my brain goes back to, oh, he's a bad guy. And it does it in a really sneaky way, right? But in a way that keeps her hurt. And she's been coaching for a while, so she's aware of this. She knows the thoughts, but she says, I don't want to see him as the bad guy. Some of us do. Some of us find it really appealing to keep our husband as the bad guy because that's what keeps us the victim, right? He's the bad guy. We're the one that didn't do anything wrong. But a lot of us too don't really like that. It's not fun to always see your husband as the bad guy. Right? It's not like that is what brings us closer together. Okay, so if you want to change that, I have some tips today on how to do that. Okay, this is also super helpful if you feel like you only ever see yourself as someone who can't get out of their situation, who has no control of their life. If you want to stop thinking that you have no control over your life, this is for you. Okay, so just a few tips today on how we can do that. So the first thing that you need to do is first you have to figure out where you are. Kind of like the example that I gave with the glasses, you can't change the way you see the world unless you first understand and are aware that the way you're seeing the world is changeable. You still with me, ladies, right? So first we want to note it. You have to become aware of how you're currently thinking and how you're currently viewing yourself and those around you. Is it negative? Is it positive? Are you indifferent? One of the best things that you guys can do is write down your thoughts. Okay, so if there's something you're struggling with in particular, write down all your thoughts. Just get out a piece of paper and start writing. And don't filter it, but start looking at the thoughts that you have and see if you notice any patterns, right? This is why if you guys are ever around someone, you're like, I can't be around them. They're just a super negative person, right? It's not that they're a negative person. It's not like it's negativity in their DNA. What they are doing is they are seeing the world negatively. They have a negative perspective. And that's totally fine if that's you too, because we can absolutely change it. But first we have to know where we are. Are you negative? Are you positive? Are you indifferent? One of the best ways, like I said, is to write down your thoughts. Now you can also do this in reverse. Okay. So you can, instead of looking at your thoughts first, you can also take it to the other extreme on the other end and look at your results. Okay. Where am I in my life? And how did I get there? What do I think about where I am in my life, right? Look at the results that you have and see if you can find the way that you are approaching it. See if there's a common thread, right? A common denominator between all your relationships, right? Is there a common thread between how you show up with your friends, as with your sister, as with your spouse, as with your church leader, right? See if there's a common thread where you are approaching it the same way over and over. Okay, finding patterns is what's going to help you find where you are. You can find that, oh my gosh, turns out I'm super positive about my friends, but I'm super negative about my family, right? That's just the perspective where I am right now. And that's what we need is just to become aware of where we are first. Okay. The second thing you can do is then you get to decide what you want your perspective to be. This is so cool because, again, this is the beauty of doing all of this thought work and coaching, is because we often think that the perspective we have is simply the reality, right? And we also think that this perspective we have is because of what we've gone through. But it's not true. You get to decide what your perspective is about everything in your life, because everything is a circumstance. Okay, this is how you can get two people going through the exact same circumstance and have completely different perspectives about it. Two people going through chemo, one can be super positive, one can be super negative, because the chemo is the circumstance and their perspective is what is different. And you can decide on purpose, right, ladies, intentionally, that's our word for the year, what you want your perspective to be. Okay. Now, a lot of this is based on what character role you put yourself in. Are you the victim? Are you the heroine? Think about the Cinderella story. Okay. This was something fun that came to my mind. Okay. Bear with me. Okay. We hear it from the perspective of Cinderella, right? The tragic hero, right? We think of it as a love story because we hear it from the perspective of Cinderella and the prince, right? But what if the stepmom told the story? What if you looked at it through her perspective? This woman was widowed twice in a world where men bring in the income, where status is not individual and women don't hold property. She's widowed with two young girls, and then she gets widowed again with another stepdaughter. So all of a sudden, she's in charge of the household. She's in charge of the budget. She's in charge of making sure everyone has food. She has no income. She has no ability to raise her status unless she gets married again. Where all she wants, right, is a man to protect her and maybe to love her. Maybe she's never been loved. Maybe she loved her first husband so much and was completely heartbroken and devastated after his death that she became a different person. It hardened her. And then when she just barely thought that it might be possible to love another man, and she tried, she found out that he didn't love her as much as he loved his daughter. Okay? I'm not straight saying that any of that is true. But when the story, it really reads differently based on the perspective that you see it through, right? And your life is the same way. Your life is a Cinderella story, and you get to decide what perspective you tell it through, okay? The role you place yourself in and others alters the way the story plays out in your brain, okay? I'm going to say that again. The role that you place yourself in your story and the role that you place others in your story alters the way that your story plays out in your brain. It changes your perspective. Changing your perspective requires acknowledging what role you've cast yourself in and those around you, and then asking yourself if you want to keep it that way or change it. Okay? So you get to decide which role you want to place yourself in. You get to decide how you tell your story, what perspective you tell it from. You get to choose that on purpose. Even if you've been telling it a certain way before, you get to change it and decide on purpose the way you want to come out. Okay, do you want to be the victim or do you want to be the hero? You get to choose. You get to tell your own story to yourself in your brain. That is your perspective. And you can decide to change it and decide what you want to change it to. Super, super powerful. And that kind of goes into my third tip. I don't know if these are tips or ideas or tools or whatever, but number 3 is be humble enough to shift. Okay. So once you've recognized where you are and you decide that you want to do something different and you decide what that is, you decide what your new perspective should be, or you want it to be, not should be, you want to be humble enough to shift it. Okay. Shifting your perspective may mean giving up the story that you've been telling. Okay. Changing some thoughts or beliefs that feel really good. Ladies, a lot of our thoughts and beliefs feel really good, especially the ones where we stay hurt. Okay. Because I've talked about this a lot, but the ones where we stay hurt, our brain likes to think that means that we didn't do anything wrong. And so we are the ones who don't have to change, right? Our brain really likes that. And it may mean giving that up, facing some pride. Ladies, pride is so tricky. Okay. If you really want to change the way that you're seeing things, if you really want to shift your perspective, you will have to be malleable enough to make that change. You following me? Sometimes we do this on our own, and sometimes life kind of forces us to bend. Okay. In the scriptures, it talks about people who are humble and people who are compelled to be humble. Okay, that's kind of the difference, right? It's like the people who are humble on their own and people that have to be humbled. Now, honestly, I have been both. I have been humble on my own and I have been compelled to be humble many times. And really the thing that I want to offer here is that it goes so much better when you're the one that's willing to do it rather than waiting for life to do it for you. Okay? You can shift your perspective, but you have to be willing to let go of the old story, of the old perspective. You have to be willing to delete your previous preset and take the glasses off, okay? The fourth thing that I want you guys to know is that there's nothing wrong with you, okay? When you become aware of where you are, and you decide where you want to go, sometimes it can be very tempting to look at the distance between point A and point B and think, I'm never going to get there. Or I can't believe I've been thinking like this the whole time. Or this is impossible. I should just stop. There's no way it's going to happen. I don't know how to do it. I'm a terrible person. I can't believe I've been thinking like this. That's a huge one. When you start to become aware of your thoughts and your perspectives, it's very tempting to make it mean something about you. And I want to offer today and really encourage you to try to not do that. Okay? Self-judgment is not required in order to move forward. Our brain thinks it is. Okay, ladies, if you've ever done a diet, you'll know this. Sometimes we want to hate ourselves for the way we've been acting. Our brain thinks that if we hate ourselves, it'll somehow motivate us to change, and it never, ever, ever does. Okay? All it does is just make us feel worse about where we are and then make us feel worse if we fall off the wagon or whatever it is, okay? Self-judgment is not required and it's not useful. So I want to encourage you to let it go, okay? There is nothing wrong with you and you don't need to be ashamed of where you are or where you've been. If where you are is not where you want to be, it's okay. Welcome to being a human. None of us are where we want to be, which is why we're listening to podcasts and have hired life coaches, okay? It doesn't make you a bad person or too far gone. And self-judgment won't make you go forward faster. It's completely unnecessary and you can let it go, okay? And then my last thing that I want to offer you today, number 5, is to take a step back. The best thing that you can do in order to shift your perspective is to change where you're standing. Now, a little bit of that is figuring out what role you've cast yourself in. And that's what I was kind of talking about, is shifting how you're viewing it. And sometimes that literally means changing where you stand. Just like the example that I gave, the reason that I was able to shift my perspective on the airplane was because suddenly I was thousands of feet up in the air. So even from the same location, even if you just turned around. Remember, ladies, anything that you see in your vision is only what you see because you're facing a certain direction. Even turning 1 degree to the right or 1 degree to the left or up or down can completely shift the things that you see. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do, is just internally, mentally, and emotionally take a step back. Shift your gaze. Be willing to change the way you're viewing something. almost as if you are observing yourself. This is a tricky concept. I know this is kind of advanced. This is something I do a lot with my clients, and this is even pretty advanced coaching, okay? But trying to observe your own thoughts without judgment is a huge step in taking a step back in order to shift your perspective. Try and see it differently on purpose. If I could think about this differently, what would I think? If I could think anything about this, what would I think? If someone else were looking at this, what might they think? All of that is a shift in perspective, and all of that comes from taking a step back. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. All of this is totally doable. If you want to change the way that you see yourself, you see your life, you see your friends, your husband, your family, anything that's going on, follow these and it will help you do that. And if you want more help, come join me in coaching and I'll help you do this. But this is stuff that's super important because it can completely change your life without anything around you changing because it's all internal. The way you see your life is entirely up to you. And if you don't like the way that you're seeing your life, I want to invite you to change your perspective. All right, ladies, I love you so much, and I'll talk to you next week. Take care. All right, my ladies, if you enjoyed that podcast episode, you have to come join my coaching program. It is $2,500 for lifetime access to all of my online content and all of my coaching calls. Not only will you get one-on-one attention from me through coaching calls, you will also get to join this amazing community of women who are all working through this the exact same as you are. You'll also get 24/7 access to me through Slack, our private group messaging channel, and you will get access to all of the new material and content that I create. If you are ready to start applying everything that you've learned on the podcast and really take everything to the next level and start creating who you are as more than the porn addict's wife, I want to encourage you to come join my program today. Head to jolenewin.com, click on join, and you can join anytime. I can't wait to see you there.